listening to the Day Players Podcast with Keith G. Brown.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Day Players Podcast. I'm Keith G. Brown. Now, listen, I have a very special guest on here today. He's a dear friend of mine. I met him in film school. I've never told him this, but he was one of the people that I definitely kept my eye on because the dude was just amazing in his scenes. I've watched him do some monologues. Amazing work, very poised, just very natural. He's great. He's also, but not only acting, this dude is also doing some directing. He's got his hands in a bit of everything. He's very talented, and it's a privilege to have him on this podcast. Max McGee, my brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's good to hear from you again.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Well, I've been missing it.
Yeah, man. So listen, man, let's jump right into it. Okay, so tell everybody just, the basics about yourself, man, like where you're from, and, how you got into acting.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I'm from London, born and raised. I'm there at the moment, actually. You can probably see out the window. It's nice and grey. Yeah. I'm from London. So to be honest, when I was young, I was an athlete. All I wanted to do, I wanted to play professional football, or soccer.
Okay.
For one reason or another, probably I wasn't good enough. I didn't become that. But I still had all that energy and that drive. And I think, like sport and is directly comparable to something like acting. It's highly competitive. You're only as good as your last game. You're your own brand. And you've really got to sort of protect yourself and build yourself, and be your own. Regard yourself as your own business. So I've always been interested in acting. I did it at school, but as a kid, so some like school plays and things like that. But I've always been, as early as I can remember, I've always been interested in film. So I always knew that I wanted to get into film one way or another, but I finished high school, and I was still playing football at the time. Didn't work out of a few clubs. So I was at that crossroads where, do I go to university, college and do a degree, or do I kind of pursue that? And I think I just thought, fuck it, whatever. And I did a business degree. And, a couple of years through it, I knew that acting was something that I wanted to do full time, because my interest in film exponentially grew, and it still grows all the time. And I'm now obsessed with it. But, acting is just one part of the filmmaking process. But I thought, I'm young. I'd done a couple of acting classes, almost to understand what it is. Like everyone watches films, everyone sees actors, but what is it? What's that process behind, learning how to do it? So I took a couple of classes, and just like 3 days a week in evenings after studying. And I really liked it. So I wanted to do something full time. So that's where, I looked at different schools, and because NIFA, where we went, it was largely focused on film. So that made a lot of sense. So did the year out there, and now I'm back in London, and so I don't know. Do you want to know what I was doing when I got back, or?
Well, before you get into that, I was very curious. How different is the acting scene over where you are compared to here in the States?
You mean in terms of
as far as somebody who's, they're like, okay, I want to be an actor. I want to do this. How is it as far as getting an opportunity to go to a good school and then, landing the agent, and how's the work? Is there is there a good amount of work available in the UK? Like, how is it?
Yeah, I mean, London. So London, all across the UK as well, but London's always been known largely for theatre.
Ah, right.
And obviously nowadays, like film, Netflix pump a lot of money into London, and the UK is like a lot of productions happening all the time, and that's really good for acting, screen acting as well. But in terms of like the training, like there are top schools in the UK, so like RADA, Lambda, Central School, a few others, and they're obviously largely like Shakespeare driven, focused on theatre, things like that, very classical, traditional methods, I guess. So I feel like a lot of the agents in London, I wouldn't say they're snobs, but I would say there's a certain echelon of agent, let's say the top level. And as a drama school graduate, they only really look at signing these kids, boys and girls, whatever, from these top schools,
Right.
You haven't been to, because they trust the teaching,
Yeah.
So, so there was obviously that to deal with when I got back from New York, but I don't see that as an obstacle. I see the skills I acquired from going to New York and learned, like largely focusing on screen acting. Like when I've been on set with actors and actresses that have trained at these top schools, they don't know things about like, camera technique, like secondary points of focus and like, eye line and things like that, which are really noticeable.
Right.
Somebody. So, but I think it's weird now because it's good because of like distribution is free, for example, right? So if you make something, you can put it on YouTube. Technically, by nature of doing, you are something. So you're an actor if you make a film, put it on YouTube. Not to say you're a good actor, right? But you are an actor, technically.
Right.
So I think there are some good examples of kids that have done that in the UK. Big names now, and they now work out in the States, a couple of Netflix shows, and they just started sort of producing their own content on the internet. And I think there's been such a dramatic shift in, how to sort of become an actor, I guess. How do you, I guess the more traditional way of doing it has been sort of eradicated, which is good for everybody, right?
Right.
Based on talent, not based on where you went to school. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So how was your time in New York, man? How'd you like it? Like how was it for you?
You know what? I think so. I'd only been to New York twice before. Once when I was, a kid, and once when I was about 14, and I loved it. It's a dream, New York. It's in all the films you grew up watching, like Big. Oh
yeah, I love that.
I'm like these classic films. I was so excited to go to New York, and when I got there, it kind of exceeded my expectations. It's a tough city to live in. Don't get me wrong; it's expensive when you're studying. Like money's tight, things like that. But I love the energy there. Like yourself, a few other people that we studied with as well. Everybody was cool what we studied with, but there are a few people I still talk to now, like Tyler, and everyone's there to do something. Like I had some really good housemates there as well. And I'll be honest with you, it was tough the first few months living in New York. I'd lived alone before, so that excited me. I love my independence. I loved being able to live in New York alone. But like adapting to it, because London's a fast-paced city, but New York is like a different beast.
Yeah, man. I hear. I hear it's. People come here and it's like, yeah, it's so fast paced. And like you said something really. You hit it on the head. Everybody is like doing something. Like there's a reason why they're going from point A to point B at like 100 miles an hour. But what I hear is like LA is just the complete opposite, man. I've been out there, but I've never lived out there. But they're like, yeah, it's laid back. Everything's spread out. You got to drive everywhere. There's a lot of people tend to say there's a lot of fake people out there.
I spent a bit of time out there, and I love it. And my aim is really to move out there eventually. But
right,
I would say that I don't know, directly comparing the two, I would say, I mean, I'm interested to hear what you think as well after, but, you know, LA, like, anyone can go there and say, I'm this, I'm that, you know, and people will entertain it because 80% of the other people in the room are bullshitting as well. Then, like, with the internet and things like that, like IMDb, things like that, you know, you can see if someone's lying within a second anyway.
Yeah.
So I like it from that regard, as in more doors are open. You know, I've had some, I remember I'll tell you this story. This is good. You'll like this one. I went to LA in 2018, September. We had like a 10 days off, then we had like a break from studying. And I went out one night to Silver Lake, to this place called, what's it called? Tenants of the Trees, I think. It's a club. It's good fun. And I just started talking to these girls, like, you know, friendly, as people in LA are really friendly. That's what I love as well. You can just talk to anybody. There's no like aggression or, and they said, oh yeah, what are you doing after? We're going to this, this party, like in a hotel, and it was in the Standard Hotel on Sunset Boulevard. And they were like, he's an actor as well. Like, you know, you should meet him. Probably be good for you. And I'm thinking, like, you know, everybody in LA is an actor. He's probably a postman or something. But like, nothing wrong with that. But
right.
But no, we went to this room and I knocked on the door. I opened it, and it was Lakeith Stanfield. And it was like him and like.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was a shock. So I think, and he was the loveliest guy, man. And I literally was in there for like 4 or 5 hours, just hanging out, having a beer, whatever. It was really nice. And
oh shit!
LA, you have stuff like that. You know what I mean? People,
right.
You know, there's less barriers to entry, I find, in LA, and that's why it's so exciting there. You know, whereas in New York, if you can crack New York, then you know you're really doing something special, I think. So.
Yeah, what I noticed, man, especially because I have an agent, but I don't like to sit idle, so I still look for work on my own. Actually, I've got quite a bit of work on my own. So what I have found is that, because I'll look in LA and there's a shit ton of work, man. It's like all kinds of crazy shit that gets posted on a daily basis, man. And yeah, New York is definitely more, I would say, more focused. There's not a whole lot of, I guess, fluff. It's like the listings I see here are very like, it's either like real big shit or it's a few student films. There's really none of that in between that LA has. Like I said, I get a listing sent to me daily for LA stuff. And
what's like in the States? What do you use? Do you have Spotlight there?
No. Oh, so the best one for me that I have used that I think I have gotten the most work out of is Actors Access. That one is amazing, man. I love it. The one that I use to get out in LA is Casting Networks.
Okay.
And then I used to use Backstage, but honestly, bro, Backstage has a whole lot of like student films, no pay, but you get credit type of type of work.
With a lot of work being put out there. I don't know, but you know, you see a lot of good projects that are exciting for young actors, but they want you to work on a feature even for no money. I mean, it's just that's not cool. Yeah,
one thing I've seen is like I'll still look at them, because one thing I do is I'll read the premise and see, you know, if it's something I might be interested in, because some of them, you know, there's been a few where I could tell it was I've had the script sent to me and I could tell it's that person's like baby, like their passion project. So they're gonna put everything into it. They're dead serious about their craft, and so then in that regard, you know, even if they're not really paying much or not paying at all, I kind of like, there's a couple that I did and I kind of felt like it was a privilege to be on it, because I can tell just how special that project was for the person who created it. So to offer me the chance to be on it, you know, I still look at that as like, man, you know what? I appreciate that, man, because I know how much you I know how much you love this thing. You know, you created it, and it's a different kind of feeling because then you go, because it's like, not to say that the big network projects can't have this similar feeling, but at the end of the day, you know, the big networks, they're creating stuff to put on TV to make money.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, let's get the best actors, get the best writers, directors. Let's put this together. This will make the most money. And that's cool. And that's great because, you know, after all, we gotta live. So, you know, to have paying jobs, that's really the end goal. But then, you know, once in a while, it's pretty good to come across one of those short films. And you know, you could just tell that person was like, you know, they put their all into it. Kind of like I was watching, matter of fact, this is a good segue. This is excellent. I was going to talk about this next. Shattered. So like, I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the angles, the filming, I'm looking at your pacing, and I'm like, shit, man, I want to get on one of these short films you're doing, man.
Yes, we'll do one in. So, yeah, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's the whole thing as well. You want to create stuff that you don't necessarily see out there that you want to watch. You create it yourself. You know, if it's not there, do it. Also, like you said before about collaboration, I think everything, right? Music's the same. It's a collaborative process. And also writing as well, you know. Obviously, so I wrote Shattered and I played the lead actor. I produced it as well. And my father, Tony, directed it. So we got a really good relationship there. But at every stage, you have to collaborate, you know. You obviously pick and choose whose opinion you listen to. And at the end of the day, take everything with a pinch of salt. You know, if somebody tells you that something's not good, still do it if you think it's good. I mean,
right.
Of course, but getting little notes and feedback and things like that open up little blocks in your mind, you know, and then you see it and it becomes so clear. I mean, certainly from like the writing process, like let's get into that. So, okay, so I'll talk about why I wanted to start writing and producing and my own stuff.
Yeah. Talk about that, man.
I think so. When I graduated from NYFA in New York, had an amazing time there, and came back to London and, you know, instantly, you know, was buzzing, of course, and ready to go. And so first thing, what do? Like, you have a little bit of a show reel. You look for an agent and you apply to all the top agents thinking you're going to get a call. You don't get a call because you ain't anybody yet, you know? So that's fair enough. And then you get an agent, you know. For some people you get a great one straight away. For me, I didn't get a good one straight away. I got a pretty inexperienced is a nice way of describing him. So yeah, had a few things, did a couple of things like that. But I wasn't getting getting into those rooms, basically. So, you know, I got new headshots and all that stuff. But I think at the end of the day, I realized if I want to do something, you have to show initiative. You have to really get your own voice out there, get your opinion. It's too competitive to sit there and wait, you know, as you're doing, like looking yourself for work. You're not just sitting there doing nothing, you know. I can't sit there and do nothing all day. That's like the worst thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So look, I just had I had an idea about this guy. I think your environment is really influences what you, certainly from a writing perspective, what you want to write about, what your interests are, like what's your narrative, what's your outlook. You can't really see, but you just see the city there in the corner of my screen. And I live like pretty much near the business district, and I used to walk around, go running around here, and you see like these sort of suited like Wall Street guys, and I always envisioned this sort of, I guess, similar to American Psycho in a way, but this guy that sort of lives a double life, and over the course of one day his life deteriorates, and we see it, you know, in his sort of breakdown of a character, and all shot in black and white, and we shot it in the sky, like using all the skyline in London and things like that. So yeah, it was cool actually. Like we pretty much shot it a year to the day. We released it in February and had a screening, and then it won an award at a festival, the Rhode Island International Film Festival. It got a semi-final position, which was good.
Nice.
in September. So yeah, and now it's out on Amazon Prime. So that was cool. And then obviously Auto, the next is another film. So I wrote during the first lockdown I think I started writing in April, had a final draft by July, and then crewed up. So I was on the other side, you know, I casted it as well, and produced this Auto as well. And yeah, we had as soon as the lockdown ended, we went out, we shot, you know, a very small crew. We had to do all the PPE and stuff because of the COVID. And
right.
Yeah, man, we shot it in like 3 days, edited it in a week. And then, yeah, it's out on Amazon Prime as well. And the press picked it up. Deadline did a big article on it and everything. It was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, man. And that was just literally like, what the coolest thing I would say is, you know, when you want to write something, right? And you're brainstorming ideas and you have these ideas and you write the first word, or it might even be a name or something that comes to mind, right? And then you see it on like Amazon Prime, for example, and you see those words being read back. It's an awesome experience, man.
Right.
It's special, yeah. And that made me realize that I love acting and everything, but you know, I want to direct as well. I want to write and direct. That's really what that's fulfilling for me. And I love sitting in the edit room for like 18 hours with the editor, watching every frame, you know, and like meticulously going over it. That's just for me. I love doing that, you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I really want to go back to this. I wanted to know, like, because I mentioned it before, but the pacing of Shattered and the way you use different shots and your body language and your gestures to do a lot of the, I guess, dialogue without words. Like, did you go into it knowing you were going to utilize that as the way you did? Or is that something where you started shooting and you kind of like, maybe like you watched some of the early footage and said, you know, I got something here? Or did you already know, you know, that's going to be like one of the main things? Because that's one of the first things I noticed was just how well you paced yourself throughout the short film, and you used like the gestures and just it was just, bro, like I was just talking about that in my last episode where it's like, Giancarlo Esposito, he's one of my favorite actors because he can say so much without talking.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love him. He's brilliant.
Yeah, and you did that and Shattered, bro. The gestures, the way you looked, that stood out to me right away, bro. So like, did you go into it knowing that was going to be a big part of like how you decided to talk to the audience?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look at all, like your man from Breaking Bad, he's awesome. And obviously Do the Right Thing and all those other great things he's done. I see he's doing the new Far Cry video game as well. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think, and some, you know, Marlon Brando, he's the best at doing that. These little subtle facial movements and the things he does, whether it's like in Godfather, he improvised and played with the cat, you know, and it wasn't in the script, things like that. Don't think for a second I'm comparing myself to him.
Oh no, but I get it. Like, and then like what the way he picked up the glove, right, in that other movie,
exactly, right.
Started playing with the glove. Yeah.
I think also from a more literal point of view, when you see the cameras right here, you know that if you just raise your eyebrow or just like subtly look, and I think also to give props to the director as well. Great directors are aware of the framing and know
absolutely
what they want, right? So they can say, you know, it's a very tight shot, like, you know, just look there for a second, or like, and another thing as well, which is, helps you out for sure, is the editor, right? But as long as you make sure you cover what you want to express in the scene, a good editor will find it. You know, you don't have to be necessarily so obvious about portraying an emotion, things like that. And I think the camera picks these things up, right? Especially these like high res and awesome lenses, like, you know, focusing really tight on your face, you know,
right.
Movement can say a lot. I think if you're living truthfully within the character, your body should react naturally to these little things, and, you know, without forcefully doing it. If you're like worried about something, then your eye will move in a certain way.
Right.
You have to think about like, oh, I need to move my eye at this point, because then it just looks unnatural, right? So
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Awesome.
I really appreciate that you liked it.
Oh yeah, man.
That's, you don't. This is the thing as well, which I've learned to do more, is like when you see someone doing something, whether they're like a singer or whatever, and you're like, oh, cool, they're doing well. And a lot of the time you don't think to say anything because you're like, oh, he's probably heard it 100 times before. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to kiss his ass or something or whatever. But listen, like every time somebody said to me, like, I loved Auto, I love Shattered, like it means a lot because there's so much work that goes into it. Especially when you've written it and like you're acting in it,
Right.
You put yourself in a bit of a vulnerable position, to be honest. But I love doing it. So
Cool. Listen, let's get into this David Bowie documentary, man. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was a privilege, to be honest. So like, so my father Tony, who I own, so McGee Films, our production company together. So my father's 65 now. He's got, he started taking pictures at the age of like 14. By 18, he was doing Vogue covers and stuff. He just had came from like, working class family in London, and he was able to sort of build up this reputation as a celebrity and fashion photographer, right? So he shot Diana Ross, like everybody, and
Oh wow.
one of the people that he knew through work and eventually formed a friendship with was David Bowie, obviously. And he just has this amazing collection of photography of him, but very personal. It's like studio photography, like portraiture, and like, so it's not like he went on tour and took pictures from a stage. It's like in my dad's old studio, and like, and the work's amazing. And in a way, they're very emotive. So they're not like actors' headshots, but in a way, they're kind of these different shots. They display a lot of emotion, and I think they're very cinematic. So basically, my father, Tony, he was offered to do an exhibition at the Saatchi Gallery in London, just like one of the biggest galleries in London. So that was amazing, and I just said to the people that were organising it and Tony, I was like, if you want me to shoot a doc, small crew. I mean, this was in October, so I was like, small crew, just I want to get my directing props up, so no better opportunity than just to give it a go and try. And
right.
Yeah, so we shot it over just in one night on the opening evening, and did a lot of exterior shots on the area which the show is in, and the external shots of the gallery itself. And yeah, man, and it's on YouTube now, and the reception's been really good. And obviously, I say it's privileged because, firstly, I had access to direct something like that, and I was really aware that it was like a big thing. So I, made sure that I made it good, right, of a decent standard. So, and like David Bowie is like one of the biggest, not even musicians, like one of the biggest icons ever, right? So,
absolutely.
He has super fans, these people, and so the documentary has been viewed and shared by a lot of people, and so it's just cool, man. It's just amazing to see, like, he's an artist, obviously, right? So to see the impact his art has on the world, and to try and sort of capture a little bit of that was cool,
Oh yeah, man. I can only imagine, brother. Yeah. So listen, man, before we wrap this up, do you have any future projects? And also, please tell everyone where they can check you out, your social media and everything, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, so I've written a feature. It's called Appearances. So I'm talking to a few producers at the moment, and basically trying to raise money. So it's all set in one location in London. It's basically, I'm not going to give too much away, but it's like it's a dinner party, basically. It almost plays out a bit like a piece of theatre. So it's like very claustrophobic, very tense, very suspenseful, and it kind of the main character builds up a lot of anxiety, and it's but taking influence from the shorts we made. So like shot extremely well, and like using a very interesting sort of film noir soundtrack. And yeah, so I'm excited, man. Feature film. That's
yeah. Awesome, man.
I'm learning everything as I go along. I'm learning.
Right.
That's the most important thing. So
that's also what makes it fun, right?
100%. Yeah. And this is biggest thing is the collaborative process. Like, so like the guy that was the DOP on the Bowie doc, a guy called Daniel Morgan, and he was a DOP. Well, he actually operated on auto, but he was the DOP on Shattered, and he's great. He loves film, and like he loves being camera operator or a DOP, you know, and that's his role, and he fulfills that role. He's passionate about making films and stuff, and that's what you were talking about earlier, is like being part of these projects where people are passionate about it. Like, forget the money. If it's done well, the money will come naturally, right? So,
right.
Yeah, man. But social media, cool. Plug. Max McGee 1. So MAXMCGEE number 1. And then for the film company, it's McGee Films, MCGEE Films. And yeah, please, like, anybody watching this wants to connect, share ideas and talk. Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be cool.
Yeah, man, that's great, man. Listen, man.
What about you, Keith? Tell me, like, what have you got coming up? Has work been good during the COVID or?
Well, it started to pick back up in around the end of August, and right around there, this agency had reached out to me to do this this show it's actually just been picked up by Discovery. It's called Billy Buys Brooklyn. It's like some dude, he owns like a antique shop, and you know, he like, so yeah, it's supposed to be coming on pretty soon. I did a couple of commercials, and also, like I just said in my last episode, I had something happen earlier in the week that was the first time, like, my agent reached out to me. I had gotten a role on For Life, which it comes on ABC. It's one of 50 Cent's shows. But about 3 days later, my agent reached out to me, and it was like, you know, they decided to go in a different direction. And that was the first time that ever happened to me. I was like, shit, I don't know how to feel about this. So I just text back, okay. But then it was like, I had to sit on that for a while, because I'm very big on, I don't believe anyone really gets anything that isn't meant for them. But at the same time, you know, when something like that first happens to you, you're like, damn, different direction. Did they just cut the character? Did they see someone? And that's, you know what, man, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Okay, cool. It is what it is, you know? So, but yeah, so right now I've just been, I did get into voiceover. I've done a few voiceover gigs. So I do it. What's up?
You got a great voice.
Oh, appreciate that. But yeah, that's fun. That's definitely fun. I enjoy doing the voiceover. So I'm glad I got into that. And then lastly, I'm just finishing up this script that I'm writing for a pilot. It's based on my life growing up here in New York in the 90s. It's based in the 90s. So yeah, I've seen a lot of crazy shit growing up here, man. So it's all real stories, just fictitious names, but it's my life, man. You know, and so, you know, I'm finishing that up, and then me and my agent are gonna shop that, try to get that picked up by a network. You know.
Yeah, mate. If you need I don't look like I grew up in Brooklyn, but if you need a little cop or something, I'll fly over, mate.
Yeah, man. Listen, bro, I cannot wait until I can get over to where you are, man. And we have to collaborate on a ton of shit, man. Cause listen, bro, I feel like the chemistry's already there, bro. Like I said, I noticed your work in film school, bro. Especially when you were doing your monologues, you were up there, like you're very natural. You have great pacing, like. You know what I mean? Like I like I said, bro, we never really got a chance to talk after school was over. But yeah, I had to tell you that now, bro. Like I definitely noticed your work while we were in school, bro.
Thanks, man. You too. I remember you did this. What was it? Oh yeah, the George Clooney film. You know, like the first exercise was like do a scene where it's like, do you like Maestro?
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Where George Clooney like plays a guy that travels
Travels a lot. Yeah. I forgot the name of it. Yeah.
up in the air or something.
Yes. Yeah. Up in the air. I think it is. Yeah.
But you did it. You like, and there was like a mock direction, right? It was like one of the teachers was directing, and he said to you, I remember, he said the subtext should be you just found out this guy slept with your girlfriend or something. So it was awesome. I saw it was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need because I'm in the UK. I don't have access to like ABC and all these shows. But if you send me a message with like the episode number and name or whatever, and I'll find it online.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you can. Yeah, if you have the episode I did, Blacklist, that's on Netflix, so you can catch it. I'll message you the.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I've seen your reel and stuff, so I've seen that.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
Okay, cool. Listen, brother, it was an absolute pleasure and a privilege to talk to you. Listen, man, for starting today, bro, we gotta reach out like all the time, man. We gotta like, check on each other, collaborate, and just kind of like start getting that ball rolling, man. Because I honestly, I know that we can do some great things, man.
Definitely. Well, as soon as I'm allowed to travel, I'm back. I'm coming back to the States. So I don't know for how long, but obviously the intention is for a long time. But I'll come back for New York at least for a couple of weeks, and we'll sit down and we'll chop it up for sure.
Yeah, and I'll definitely make my way over there because I've never been over there, man. So
come anytime. Yeah.
All right, sounds good, man. But listen, man, be safe, brother, and and congratulations on all your success and everything you're doing, bro. It was great talking to you.
Cheers, man. I love what you're doing with this as well. Keep it up.
All right, man. Take care of yourself.
Cheers.